Welcome back to Main Street Informant. In this channel, we provide information related to wealth, money, power, finance, business, and economics. In today's video, we will learn about the coming collapse of Pakistan and how things are not turning out pretty for the rest of the world. Pakistan formerly had Asia's fastest growth rate, but now Pakistanis are currently running short of food as a result of economic hardship. Politicians are out of options and money is losing its value. Things won't be pleasant when this bubble bursts, and it's already starting to. The only country in Asia with higher inflation than Pakistan is already bankrupt, Sri Lanka. However, Pakistan has experienced economic suffering more than once in its brief history, in contrast to Sri Lanka, even though the current state of affairs may be the worst ever. After ending their control over Southeast Asia, the British administration established Pakistan in 1947. After gaining independence, Pakistan swiftly overtook China as Asia's country with the fastest growth rate. However, due to the weak political administrative history, the growth didn't persist very long during its 75-year lifespan. Pakistan's history has unluckily included periods of political turmoil. There have been 29 prime ministers of Pakistan, however, none of them have served a full term. Every administration prioritizes short-term initiatives over long-term advancements in order to appease the public. Foreign investments has always been the most crucial tool for emerging countries to experience rapid economic progress. Unfortunately, given the turbulent past, it is difficult to draw in this investment without political stability. Tax reductions are crucial tools in the government's toolbox, but they can backfire if they are used to win elections rather than manage the economy. Because of Pakistan's inconsistent economic growth, the country has earned the nickname the sick man of Asia. Most of Pakistan's growth was financed by debt. China, a friendly ally of Pakistan, is one of those creditors, although it wasn't so kind when negotiating the terms. Pakistan currently owes China approximately $14.5 billion in loans. However, there are additional loan kinds that are not included in budget records, including $11.4 billion from China's state banks. These Chinese loans are distinct from those provided by the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund or IMF, or any other nation. Typically, loans have 30-year payback schedules and interest rates of 1 to 3%. However, Chinese loans have an unexpectedly high interest rate of 4 to 6% and a short repayment duration of 10 to 15 years. Chinese loans come with the requirement that projects be given to Chinese companies that primarily employ Chinese workers on top of all these outrageous terms. As a result, the majority of the money ends up returning to the Chinese economy, leaving countries like Pakistan with enormous loans and infrastructure that are under Chinese control. It is now obvious that Beijing exploited the China-Pakistan economic corridor far from saving Pakistan's economy as a tool to enslave the country. Pakistan has a history of spending more than it has budgeted for. Every time it has difficulties, the nation has contacted the IMF more than 30 times to request assistance. Similar to Sri Lanka, issues existed from the beginning but only grew more pronounced once the global economic tides turned, which may surprise some. In fact, the pandemic boosted Pakistan's economy. The local demand for commodities like gas dramatically decreased during pandemic. Because of this, the government was able to take a break from borrowing money to support its citizens. However, this solace only lasted for a short time because the economy managed to get back up after the lockdown. As a developing country, Pakistan relies heavily on imports to maintain its residents' well-being. Energy, medicine, and even a sizable amount of the nation's food were all imported. Russia's invasion of Ukraine had an adverse economic impact on the wider Middle East aside from Europe. Pakistan, whose economy is already weak because of decades of corruption, incompetence, and unstable governance, has been particularly vulnerable. Pakistan needs both foreign energy imports and Ukrainian or Russian wheat, unlike many other nations. For instance, Pakistan, behind Indonesia and Egypt, was the third largest customer of Ukrainian wheat exports between July 2020 and January 2021. Pakistan has been heavily hurt by the rise in oil prices, which have increased in the cost of its imports by more than 85% to approximately $5 billion just between 2020 and 2021. Pakistan's trade deficit was close to $50 billion at the conclusion of its fiscal year on June 30, 2022, a 57% rise from the previous year. The number might have considerably higher if the Shehbaz Sharif administration had not prohibited the import of more than 800 non-essential luxury goods in May 2022. Less than $10 billion were held in foreign reserves in July, down from almost $20 billion at the beginning of the year. Only the next 2 months' worth of imports can be sustained with the reserves it now has. Pakistan is following Sri Lanka's downfall. Pakistan spends about $600 million annually importing tea. Thus, the government is urging people to consume less of it. To conserve gasoline, officials are urging people to work from home, while local governments are reducing the usage of street lighting and public transportation. The government is now anticipating a $2 billion bailout from the IMF in August, but the country's political unrest and China's refusal to modify earlier loan terms are delaying further aid. Unfortunately, providing even more aid won't help Pakistan's economy in the long run. Political stability is necessary for both structural tax policy change and proactive action against the nation's pervasive corruption. According to the World Bank, Pakistan may soon experience macroeconomic instability. Instability in society would soon follow. To utilize the labor pool, Pakistan's private sector has not produced enough jobs. The level of anger is rising, and rising crime raises concerns about society breakdown. The collapse of Pakistan should worry the world. State failure in Pakistan has been a worst-case scenario for decades, as violence, extremism, and poverty overtake the former capital and commercial hub of Karachi, and as Pakistani authorities lose control over many regions along the Afghan border. Both Pakistan and the rest of the world would experience that scenario. Moreover, the security of Pakistan's nuclear arsenal is a legitimate concern for the United States, India, and Iran, especially as military personnel find it increasingly difficult to make ends meet. The bubble is about to burst, and what happens next will surely not be pretty. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more interesting stories like this. You can check out more videos on the channel and share. It will help my videos reach more people. See you in the next one.